Welcome to the Nerds Domain presents Masks of Neraltep. Join us each week as our investigators follow a path of clues and attempt to save the world from an ancient evil. Starring John Quiett, Justin Kimmett, Shirley Nedswicki, George Chipples, Jason Hall, and Scott Troiano, with me, Matt Quiett, running the table as the Keeper. Eldritch evils and crazed cultists await you just beyond this music.
Welcome to our creation podcast. I'm sitting here with John. Say hi, John.
Hi.
Today we're going to go through character creation. Johnny has a concept, and that's really where I like to start in Call of Cthulhu. Concept leads to roleplay, and roleplay is kind of the key in Call of Cthulhu. It's not your typical Dungeons and Dragons game where you kill them and you move on. The roleplay is more of the focus and the concern, and it actually will tell a better story, whereas other games don't have that same focus. So, Johnny, you've got a concept for your character. Why don't we hear about it?
Okay. I am going to be playing Ian Byrne, a second or third generation, I haven't quite decided, Irish detective in New York City. How in detail do you want me to go?
Just the basic ideas. Where you been? What are you doing? If you had to give me a short 3 or 4 paragraphs.
Okay. Well, he's going to be the eldest child in the family. They were never very rich. His parents and grandparents dealt with the bigotry against the Irish, but now we've moved into the 1920s, so he's not had to experience it as much because people have moved on. His father was killed when he was relatively young, and he was forced to start working before he finished school, so his education level probably won't be as high as everyone else in the group. At least that's what I'm intending. We'll see how that works out.
Yeah, the dice rolls.
Yeah, and so he started working until he got his youngest siblings to the age where they could either finish high school or start working on their own as their own choices would lead them. And then he became a cop. Because of his father's his father's death was the result of his father's intervention in a mugging, and he just took that to heart. His father died for a good cause, and he wants to live up to that sort of mentality, kind of a Batman-esque thing, I guess, but not to the point of vigilantism like Batman does. So. That's he was started out as a basic beat cop, and started to really rise in the ranks pretty quickly. Then World War II interrupted everything. I'm sorry, World War One. Yeah, World War II, World War One, the Great War. I should call it the Great War because that's what we'll call it in the game. Interrupted everything. He went overseas and did his part there. Came back alive and unwounded for the most part, pretty healthy. Got back into being a cop in New York City. Again, was going up in the ranks. And then he ran into some corrupt officials. He arrested a mob boss's son or something along those lines. I'll figure out the exact details for when we sit down to play the game. And that guy, that guy's father knew the mayor or the commissioner, and, they got him out, and pressure was put on Ian to not bother that family anymore. And when he realized he wasn't going to be able to be an honest cop in the administration of the New York City Police Department, he bailed and became a private investigator.
Okay. And that's kind of where you...
That's pretty much where we're going to... Okay. Without involving other characters in the story. That's fine. That's about it.
All right. Well, we're going to walk through character creation. There are 6 steps. We're going to do them just slightly out of order, only because I think it works best that way. Johnny, you have a scratch piece of paper there, so I suggest as you roll, you write down numbers there instead on your character sheet, and then finalize them on your character sheet.
Makes sense.
So the first thing you're going to do is roll 3d6 a total of 5 times. Keeping in mind that 9 or 10 is about average. Anything above that is good. Anything below that is not as good. So
I'm using a dice roller on my phone because, it's handy. So 4, 5, and 6. Oh.
15.
Sorry, what?
4, 5, and 6. 15.
No.
Oh.
I've rolled the dice.
I got
4,
you.
5, and 6 times.
Well,
now.
you only need 5.
Okay, well, then I'll drop that 7. Awesome.
That's right.
So my results were 9, 11, 9, 10, and 8.
Oh, good. Nice and average.
Yes.
So you're going to put those across strength, constitution, power, dexterity, and appearance.
Strength, dexterity, intelligence?
No, strength, dexterity, constitution, appearance, and power.
Wow, that's okay.
Yeah, it's strange how they set up the top of the character sheet, but I know why. You'll see why they did that in a minute.
Sure. All right. So, given what I know about the rest of the party, because I know concept is important, but the rest of the party, what I've gotten from you is that there isn't really a bruiser, the fighter type, if you will.
No, there is not a physical bruiser. You're correct.
So I've been leaning towards that.
I would suggest then that if that's the way you want to lean, then strength and size, which you'll roll here in a minute, are very important. You have to hit a 25 combined between those to get any kind of damage bonus.
Okay, that sounds like a plan.
Now, I will tell you we're using an optional rule where you'll be able to move some numbers around a little bit.
Okay.
So keep that in mind too. So if you end up rolling a 21 education and that doesn't make any sense for you, then you can take some numbers off of that and move them around. So.
Okay. All right. Well, then I'll go ahead and...
Also keep in mind that Constitution plus size divided by 2 dictates your hit points.
Okay.
Currently 9 is the high. You're the 4th
Wow.
character. Yeah. So nobody's a glass cannon, but
right.
There are several people that are going to get hurt.
Okay.
They get hit.
So I'm going to start with strength 11, con 10.
Okay.
To be a big, beefy bruiser. Power. What is power used for?
It's your force of will.
Okay.
It also has to do with sanity and luck and magic points.
And then appearance is charisma?
Kind of. It's more of your first impression.
Okay.
Because you can always learn how to fast talk people. You can be as ugly as sin and still fast talk people into stuff.
Okay.
Or bargain or whatever.
And then dex is obviously manual dexterity.
Yeah.
So I got 2 9s to work with. So I'm going to put a 9 in both dex and power and leave my appearance at an 8. Not ugly, just an average guy.
Yeah. All right. The next thing you're going to do is roll 2d6 and add 6 twice. Once for strength, or once for size and once for intelligence.
2d6 twice?
Yeah.
For a total of 6 and 6. So, I'm sorry, 2d6
plus
twice.
6.
Plus
2d6
6.
plus 6.
Okay.
And then 2d6 plus 6.
So that's 12 on both of those.
Okay. So one of those goes in size and one goes in intelligence. I know that's going to be a tough one to decide since they're exactly the same. But that gives you an idea.
All right.
So you're a little bigger than normal. You're a little more intelligent than normal. Last, you're going to roll 3d6 and add 3, and this is going to be your education level.
12 as well.
Is that 12 plus 3?
No, it's 9 plus 3.
Okay. Wow, you are all kinds of average across the board.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to skip that next step for a second.
What would the book have you do?
Next, it has you multiply your power times 5 to get your sanity. But if we change your power, that doesn't make any sense.
So.
And before we do that, we need to look at your occupation, I feel like, and decide what you want to do with that, and then move from there. So,
sure.
If you wanted to, at this point, you can move up to 3 points from any one stat to any other one stat, up to 3 separate times. Does that make sense?
So 3 points.
3 points from any one stat to another stat,
okay,
up to 3 separate times. Keeping in mind that intelligence and education are going to determine your skill points, so those are kind of important. But an education of 12, if you dropped out of school at junior high level. Education of 12 doesn't make sense until you realize you got on-the-job training, too.
Right.
So that does make sense.
Yeah.
So right now your strength plus your size is 23. You're 2 points short of a damage bonus. So you might want to shift a few things just a little bit and tweak it to get that damage bonus up.
Okay.
And if you're going to bump either one of those, honestly, I suggest size because that benefits both your damage bonus and your hit points.
Okay.
So
that makes a bit of sense there. Well, it's up to 3 points, correct?
Yeah.
So if I drop education 1 and intelligence 2 and dump it all into size,
you only need 2 points. So I don't know if dumping it, so you might take
one
from both. Yeah, one from both would be probably best.
That sounds like a good idea to me because that way I'm not sacrificing anything major. I'm going to point into skills.
So that puts your size at a 14, which you're not huge, but you're big enough. You're not a serial crusher.
Right. Love that movie.
But, you're not a small guy. You're probably broad-shouldered, thick, probably in a 1980s wrestler size.
Yeah.
So
you're not maybe not as large as I actually am at 6'5" and you're 300
but
pounds.
You're probably 6'1" easily, and you're probably wide.
Yeah. That may...
and you'll have to pull a Riker and turn sideways.
You walk through doors. Awesome.
So
that's a character trait there. Right?
So go ahead and write down all those numbers and put them on your character sheet because those won't change now that we've got them. Well, you know what? I take that back.
You said
let's look at your occupation because
Yes.
that's how they were going to change. But your occupation might change them too because some give bonuses.
Well, there you go.
So let's look at your occupation. You were looking at law enforcement, so let's just go ahead and start in law enforcement because there's a lot of different options.
There are.
Unless you want to be clergy.
No. Or criminal.
Journalism?
No.
Labor? No. Okay.
I mean, I love this book. It's great, but
they go in depth in a lot of stuff, and they give some bonuses. So there is a police detective and a private eye.
Right.
You'll notice that there are a few things here. There's earnings. We're going to skip that because that doesn't apply right this second. And actually, for what we're using, it won't apply at all. Contacts won't apply either because the game we're using is crafted. So I don't have to build the world for you to have those contacts. They're actually already built in.
Okay.
So I don't need to worry about these. Well, we suggest these kinds of contacts. It's not that big of a deal. The skills are important because those are going to be your occupation skills that you're going to put education points into.
Right.
And then the special is important. So under the police detective, it says immune to sanity losses resulting from the sight or of normal corpses or injuries. Immune to most fast talk and persuade attempts. It's kind of important.
That is, yes.
The skill set is between police detective and private eye are going to be slightly different.
Yeah.
So we'll ignore the earnings and contacts there. The special for private eye is lowered or negated sanity loss when viewing murder victims, gross injuries, etc. So you lose your immunity to most fast talks. But you gain some skills from the looks of it because there's three lines of skills for the private investigator. There's only 2 here.
Right.
So yeah, go ahead.
Closer, so
that's fine.
Let's
That's
see.
fine.
So, police detective has bargain, drive, auto. Is there automatic and manual transmission?
No. There's also drive, plane.
Oh, automobile.
Drive boat. Yeah.
Automobile. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
And actually, in the 1920s, I'm pretty sure everything is manual.
That probably is true with the technology level, but that's just my modern age brain went. That's where it went. So again, bargain, drive, fast talk, handgun, law, listen, persuade, psychology, spot, hidden, and track versus accounting, bargain, climb, disguise, drive, fast talk, fist punch, grapple, headbutt, hide and jump, law, library use, persuade, sneak, swim, track.
So you said that you want to be kind of the bruiser.
Kind of.
All that fist punch, headbutt.
Yeah.
That's all bruiser stuff.
I hadn't quite figured out how long he was going to have been a private investigator.
Oh, well, that's
where my hang-up is.
That's not super important, honestly.
Yeah, it is.
That just means you don't put in points in accounting because you don't know it yet.
Right.
You still have some of the... And you were in the war. If you didn't learn how to punch a guy in basic training, well, you weren't there.
Yeah.
So it does make sense for that skill set.
I'm trying to look. It seems like everything in the police detective is in the private eye.
Probably.
And the private eye just gets a few more things. I mean, the police detective, the cop, is flat out immune to sanity loss from normal corpses and injuries, and then also most fast talk and persuade attempts. Whereas the detective is only lowered or negated sanity loss when viewing murder victims and gross injuries. So, I mean, those are very similar. The word immune versus lowered is really the difference. And
right? What it's going to be is, instead of normally a corpse would have a certain set, like you either succeed or fail, and then you lose a certain amount of sanity depending, you would probably... you would start with, if you succeed, you go off of... You get nothing. If you fail, you get the succeed amount.
Right.
So, would probably be how I would run that.
Okay. Really tempted by that immune to fast talk attempts, but I'm going with the relatively trusting of the human condition. So I'm thinking maybe I'll go with the private eye is definitely where I want to go.
So go ahead and put that in occupation, transfer all your stats over, and we'll get started on that.
Because there aren't any bonuses in that special that affect anything.
Yeah, because the uniformed police officer, if you saw that, it gets a +1 to strength and size, and then 50 points on any weapon or melee skill. So you see that? That's where we could end up changing your stats.
I see. But then the skills on that one are not what I want at all.
No, not really.
Okay. So yeah, we're good with that.
Yep.
So, all right.
Let's mark these skills real quick, just with a dot. Don't mark it in the box. The box is for your
leveling up.
Yeah. So accounting, bargain, climb, disguise, drive auto, fast talk, fist punch. That's at the very bottom. Grapple, headbutt.
Also at the bottom.
Yep. Hide, jump, law, library use. And that's, honestly, library use is going to be a big one.
Yeah.
So, persuade, sneak, swim, and track. And on the second sheet, let's go ahead and write down this special. There's a on the bottom right, there's a character history or an investigator history. Write it in there. Okay. Just you lowered or negated sanity lost when viewing murder victims.
Is that it? Is that where it ends? Murder victims?
Gross injuries, etc.
So basically anything not caused by a monster in the...
Yeah, anything non-Cthulhu, essentially. So we're going to jump back into our steps, and the next step is to multiply your power by 5.
So 45?
Yep, and that is your sanity, so write that in insanity. Not a lot. And actually, you're currently the lowest. Congratulations.
I've seen
circle of 45.
Seen some stuff over in Europe.
And then next we're going to multiply intelligence by 5, and that'll give you your idea, so 55. Your power by 5, and that'll give you your luck.
45. I'm not very lucky.
Nope. And your education by 5, and that'll give you your knowledge.
55.
You're going to add strength and size, which I'm pretty sure is a 25.
Yep.
We made it that way. So you get a plus 1d4 on your damage bonus.
Yay.
You are the first character to get a damage bonus.
And that'll be for anything physical, right?
Anything physical. Well, not necessarily. Every weapon will say specifically whether or not. So you'll notice that on your fist, it says 1d3 plus db. That's your damage bonus. So it'll be a d3 plus a d4.
So it just says special on grapple.
Yeah, because you're grappling and it's not really doing damage. And then kicking and then punching. Headbutting. You're not trained to kick, though.
No, I'm not.
And then...
Boxer style. Fighter.
Enter the number 99 for 99 minus Cthulhu Mythos. So here, you're just going to put 99. What that means is, if you gain knowledge in Cthulhu Mythos, which you may, that lowers your potential sanity later. So if you gain 3 points of Cthulhu knowledge, you'll take 99 minus that 3 points, and that is now your maximum possible sanity ever. So if you get 70 in Cthulhu Mythos, you're at a 30, and like I told another player, that means that you know all kinds of stuff. However, the first time you encounter something, even if you know about it, you've read all about it, you know its ins and outs, doesn't matter. The first time you see it, it still strikes your mind in such a way that you will still make a check, and most of the time you'll still be losing sanity. Even if you succeed, you'll still lose sanity, which means that 30, you could lose easily a third of that with some monsters.
Yes.
With other monsters, you could lose all of it very quickly. Cthulhu himself is a D100 on a failed sanity check.
Wow.
So you could even have 99 sanity, see Cthulhu and go, blah! And be dead.
Yes.
So, the next step is hit points. We're going to add your con and your size together.
So 24.
Divide by 2.
12.
So that you actually have the highest hit points as well.
Yeah.
That's good. Magic points, you're going to circle the number of your power. So 9. And then in the sanity box, you're going to circle your sanity, which you've already done. Next, we're going to roll a d10. This will determine your income. It's not super important. It'll just really dictate what kind of money you have on hand and where you live.
5.
Well, that's not so bad. $4,500. So that goes on the second page under income.
Income, $4,500.
And you'll fill out the rest of that, what you have in savings, what you have in hand.
$1 million.
Your personal property is 45 times 5. Now, I would give you a number, but every time I multiply that number for every character I've made so far, I've screwed up that multiplication.
Ooh,
so
use the handy-dandy
calculator
that I'm sitting here next to.
Yeah.
Make it do us. So 45 times 5 or 4,500 times
4,500 times 5. Sorry.
So 4,500 times 5 equals 22500. So that's going to be under personal property.
Yeah.
And this is how much money I get to spend on my own junk.
Yeah. It suggests that 10% of that is in savings, 10% is in stocks and bonds.
No.
Well, I mean, even in the 1920s, that's pretty standard.
You think?
Yes.
Really?
That you put away. A good person who actually makes money invests it in the 1920s, which is why everyone was screwed when the stock market crashed.
I see. And that kind of information is in the 1920s player's book? Or...
that and the research I've done.
Oh, okay.
I have done quite a bit of research on the 1920s for Cthulhu in general, just because it's Cthulhu. I don't want to know. But it is pretty standard for working men to put money in the stock, because at this time, stocks are booming.
Yeah.
Like, you'll put 10 grand in there this year, and next year you might have 12 or 15. And so the turnaround is high, which is why the stock market crashes.
Right.
So, okay, so we are on step 4. You've rolled the dice. You've got your cash. Next is you chose an occupation.
Yep.
Okay. So now we're going to take your education and multiply it by 20.
So 11 times...
It's 220.
20, yep.
So write this down, because you'll want to work your way through this.
220?
Yep. That is what you have to put into percentages for the skills that are marked as occupation skills.
Okay. Now, what about the skills that have parentheses next to them?
That is your base. So let's look at accounting.
Starts at 10%.
So if you put 30 into it, it becomes a 40.
Okay.
That's just that simple.
All right. So now I got to decide.
I would suggest there are a couple of things. First, one skill at 70 versus 2 skills at 35. The 70 is always better.
Sure.
Always. You don't want to necessarily specialize yourself too much, but you don't want to round yourself out so much that you're good at nothing. Anything that you would be professional at, you should have at least a 50. That's kind of base. If you're an expert, it's a 75. Anything above 75 is cake. However, if you ever raise a skill to 90, you get sanity points back. It has to be in-game, though. So if you put something at 90, you're not helping yourself.
Right.
So if you put it at 89,
yeah.
That's, one, you've spent a lot of points. But two, you are potentially putting yourself ready for that.
Right.
So the way that you gain skill points is if you successfully use a skill, so you shoot somebody, and you successfully shoot them, and your gun skills at a 75. At the end of the game, which will be in the end of the chapters, this game is very specifically split into chapters. At the end of the chapter, you will roll a percentage, and if you roll above it, so if you roll 76 or above, you will mark that, and you will then roll a d10 and add it to it.
So at the end of the game, I roll percentage if I beat my current skill level.
Yeah.
So 70 to 100, if my skill is at 70.
71 to
71
100.
to 100. I would then add a d10 roll to my...
Which could be 1
or 10.
Or anything in between. Yeah. So...
All right. Now, I guess that's something. Firearms was not listed under this occupation skills.
Handgun was, though, right?
Was it? I may have missed it.
I thought it was. If not, that'll be a personal skill you can pick up here in a minute.
Right.
No, you are correct. Handgun was under police officer.
That's okay.
Or police detective.
Right.
That's okay. You can add it in.
Yeah,
it's not that big of a deal.
I'm going to have points based on...
You'll have another 110
right.
to base that.
That'll work. I can come back to that. All right, so I just got to figure out what I want to be good at here. Mm-hmm. So again, accounting, bargaining, climb, disguise, drive automobile, fast talk, hide, jump, law, library use, persuade, sneak, swim, track.
I would suggest library use be a big one, as well as persuade and fast talk, and then your physicals down there. I mean, anything else you can, one of these down here, one of your combats. If you want to punch people, that's perfectly fine. Headbutting, to me, headbutting sounds like a horrible idea. Throwing your head at somebody to hurt them sounds like you're only looking to hurt yourself.
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Because we can always, for fists, you can always pick up brass knuckles, or your hands get used to punching people.
Would that change brass knuckles? Would that change the skill and the damage I do?
I don't think it changes the skill. That's something we ought to look up.
Yeah.
It will change. It would probably change the damage to you. It would probably make it a D4. If I had to guess.
Right. And then again, I do get the base percentage over here. Next to so. The fist starts out at 50% because the game assumes you are able to punch a large person-sized object, standing 3 feet away from you with relative accuracy.
Yeah. Looks like no. There is nothing in here for
brass knuckles.
Unless I missed it at the beginning. Archery, nope. Crossbows, nope.
Interesting. Well, I'll go ahead and dump 20 on my fists because punching people, I grew up in the mean streets. And that is now a 70.
Okay.
Little accounting over there. Scratch off what I had and write it back down. Man, it's the amount of choices are staggering is the problem.
Well, and like I said, library use, especially with the background I gave you, the little bit of background information, that one might be a big deal.
And library use, I mean, explain exactly what that is.
You use the libraries and newspapers effectively to find information.
So again, not necessarily that I'm smart enough to know it. It's I'm smart enough to know where to go to figure it out. And you know that if it fell in these newspapers, how to find those newspapers, because in these times all newspapers are converted to film, and you have to go through film upon film. You've seen X-Files. They did it in that a lot. Did they?
Oh yeah, where they have the big screen in front of them and it rolls across.
Microfilm.
That's all on microfilm.
I see. Yeah. All right, so library use does make sense.
And then persuade and fast talk. Honestly, your primary job as a private detective is
find
to
information.
Find
from
information
people who are willing to talk to me. So those three are the find info.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
And law, you started at what, a 5% there?
5%.
Law, you probably ought to have. Accounting isn't super important.
I don't think I'm
Climb,
going to touch accounting.
not hugely important. Disguise, maybe. Drive auto only matters in stressful situations. So if you think that you've done stressful situations, that can make sense. Hide and jump, not huge. in my opinion. Same thing with sneak. Although hide and sneak could be something you have used.
Right.
Same thing with track, swim. Give or take.
I started at 25. I'm pretty happy with that number. So
it's not. Oh, I'm sorry. It's not like you'll miss one swim check and drown to death.
Yeah. So I'm gonna dump 25 on library to get up to a 50.
Okay.
Let's see. Bargain starts at 5. Fast talk starts at 5.
And the difference between fast talk and persuade is fast talk is about talking them out of what they want to do quickly.
Right.
Persuade is about
Bargain.
explaining to them why they want to give up what they want. Bargain is about giving this for that, and why what I have is what you want for what you have that I have.
Yeah. Man, 175 points.
Isn't a lot.
Nope. Well, I just mean, as far as like character concepts go, everybody else seems to be a little more out there in what they've done, and my guy is down to earth, middle of the road kind of guy. So I kind of like that idea that I'm the anchor of in the real world for the rest of these yahoos who have seen weird stuff.
And you're just the normal guy who doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the actual point expenditure. Okay, so I'm going to be persuasive and fast talking when I have to be. Persuade starts at 15, so another 40 points take me down to 135. I'm going to tentatively write in 40 there. Fast talk starts at 5. Oh, I did that wrong because that would take me up to 55. So I'll make that 35 points, which would take me to 40%. I probably will come back to that. And then fast talk starts at 5, so I'll dump 35 in that. Leave me at 110.
I remember one skill of 80 is better than two skills of 40 as well.
I know. I'm tentatively.
That's fine.
I just want to make sure I get the right.
The right spread. No, I understand that.
Yeah. I mean, I feel obligated to raise my law just because I've been a cop. I should know the law, and that. I mean, is that what that's going to be?
Essentially,
I'm going to be like, he's allowed to do that.
Well, it's going to be. We want to take some guns into this shop. Is that going to be seen as a problem? Are we going to be seen as intimidating the witness? That kind of stuff.
Are we breaking the law by doing this? Yeah. So my real world, self says it should be at least a 25% chance. On knowing whether or not something we're about to do is illegal.
Well, and that's going to change, especially if you leave New York, because New York state law is one thing.
That's a good point.
Ohio state law, totally different thing.
Right.
UK law, Germany law, Russia law, you're going to be even less likely to know.
Okay. So that's a good number for me then. I think that's set.
So, okay.
I'm not touching accounting. I keep looking at it like I care, but I don't.
Yeah.
Bargain I need to be good at.
Okay.
I need to be, not suck at it. So I'm going to drop another 20 on that.
Okay.
To take it to 25. Climb is at 40. I don't disguise. If people know who I am, I'm not doing my job. I want to be a driver. Anybody else take drive that you can recall?
Not that I can recall. Do you really think we're going to be in car chases?
I don't know. You got the book.
Honestly, I don't know either, because God knows how you're going to handle the investigation.
Right.
I mean, it does come down to what you guys decide to do.
I want to be better at hiding, tracking. But I will have 110 discretionary points in the next step. So I will try to wrap this up and spend my 70. All right, I'm going to bump Persuade and Fast Talk up to 60, using a total of 40 points. I have 30 left. I'm pretty happy with those at that level, because I feel like I rolled better than 60% most of the time.
All right, note that, listeners, so that when Johnny starts cursing about how he can't ever roll under his 60, we can all laugh at him.
Yep.
You might bump your library use up 10. 50% is kind of low.
Yeah. I got 30 points left. I'm actually going to go crazy, and
I'll leave you with 10.
10, right. I put it at 70 from 50, so I used another 20 points. So I have 10 more points to put into things. Jumps at 25. Climb is at 40. Probably haven't been like hanging off of fire escapes. Do fire escapes even?
Yes.
Are they a thing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
They're old and rickety. I mean, they're all rickety now.
Right, unless it's a new building.
Yeah.
So sneak makes a bit of sense, but 20%. Track, swim.
Or you could drop 5 in fast talk and 5 in persuade, or you could drop all 10 in bargain.
I'm going to drop all 10 in bargain and make that a 35.
Okay.
Talk me into it.
Okay. The next thing we're going to do is take your education and multiply it by 10.
So 110 points for my 11 education.
Okay. So this can go into anything, including skills you've already got.
Right.
Doubtful. But you probably want to put some points in a handgun.
I think I need points in handgun and rifle because
keep in mind, rifles mean military. Shotguns are what police use.
Good point.
Rifles go, the bullet on a rifle goes and does not stop. I mean, until it hits something, it continues to travel. Whereas a shotgun, it'll go, and a few hundred yards later, it won't be going anymore.
Right.
So rifles are used mostly for hunting and military use, nothing else. Shotguns are used very much for hunting, but the American cowboy has made the shotgun important and popular, and it is only manufactured in the U.S. I mean, it's a very American weapon.
Right.
Rifles are, I mean, you look at a rifle, it's a scary weapon. It's more than just, I've got a shotgun to kill some wolves if they eat my chickens.
Yeah.
You know.
Again, I guess my brain is anchored in the realism factor of my character here. Handguns, yes. It starts at 20.
Mm-hmm.
110 points. I think I'm going to go nuts, actually.
Okay.
I'm dropping 50 on handguns. I'm going to shoot the crap out of people with a handgun. I'll probably never get raised above that because I'll hit everything, but I'll never get to raise my skill.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I'm never going to throw my head at somebody and try to injure them. So I've got 60 left, but I feel like I should be able to tackle somebody with relative ease.
Okay.
And it starts at 25.
Can't wait for you to start tackling Cthulhu monsters.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping we're going to deal with cultists first,
That is a solid thing to hope for.
So, if I drop 60 on them and 85, I'm a pretty good wrestler there. And that makes sense to me. Because I grew up in the streets, so I would have been wrestling the other punks on the street.
Yeah.
And my fist is at 70, so yeah, I'm committed. Yeah, that's it. My grapple is at 85. I can wrestle me a deep one underwater, and then he'll drown me. So that's skills.
All right. Next step is weapons, which is why we were looking that up. So we're going to go ahead. I couldn't find brass knuckles in the book. I looked and looked and looked. So we're going to go ahead and say that brass knuckles give you a D4 plus damage bonus. So and they use your fist skill. As you have pointed out, that is not an actual bonus to damage. It's a potential bonus to damage, which I prefer because it's Cthulhu. So, D4. It will require one hand. It'll be touch. Number of attacks is 1. And then it will have 10 hit points. They're pretty solid pieces of equipment. And frankly, if they're going to attack that, they're just going to chop off your hand anyway, so it doesn't matter. So let's look at, you've got handguns there.
Yep.
You're going to want a handgun,
yes.
or 2, or 3.
I guess I will. I need a couple service pieces and then a couple drop pieces.
So that's fine. I'm perfectly okay with that. So here are the weapons, or here are the handguns. There's a couple of things you need to know. There's a year on all of them. If it's 1925 or newer, you cannot have it.
Okay.
We're taking place in January of 1925, so it doesn't make any sense. Anything 1924, you can have. I'm not charging you for the weapons, so ignore the price, because this is honestly basic starting equipment. If you want a couple of pistols, I have no problem with it. But keep in mind that things like the action is going to be important. So semi is semi-automatic. Rev 1 is a revolver that you have to recock. It does not auto-recock.
So it's the hammer, pulling the hammer back.
And then the revolver's auto-cock. 2-shot means that it has 2 shots in it. That's a Derringer.
And it's a double Derringer.
Yeah, so it will actually take 2 shots at once, I believe. Then the loading is also important. Magazine is what it sounds like. A side load means that you have a little thing on your revolver.
Barrel, not the barrel.
On the revolver. I don't know what you call that. A little thing, drop down door that you put.
It's called a drum.
That you put them in one at a time.
But they do have speed loaders for those, don't they?
No, not for the side load. For the swing load that pops out. The barrel pops out. They have speed loaders for those.
I see. So do those swing with clip? Is that
there's swing, and then there's swing with clip, and then there's break, which means that the hole from the barrel forward pops out, and you drop them and reload that way. That's a clip. Magazine and clip are similar but not the same, and it tells you what the difference is, but I forget, honestly. There you go. Clip is there, and magazine is below it.
Let's see, also called a stripper clip or chargers. Metal clips are preloaded with cartridges and carried separate from the weapon. Note that these differ from magazines, which are often erroneously called clips. See below. Oh, well, I guess we should start with the magazine. In this instance, the definition of magazine is a small metal box, sometimes referred to as a clip incorrectly, that is preloaded with ammunition then inserted into the weapon. Unlike clips, magazine weapons usually incorporate an automatic safety that keeps the gun from firing when no magazine is in place. The result is that even with the round loaded directly in the chamber, the weapon will not fire unless a magazine has been installed. Like clips, extra magazines can be loaded ahead of time and carried separately from the weapon, allowing fast reloading. Pistol magazines usually slide into the hand grip. Many rifles and shotguns and other weapons have magazines, but of a non-detachable type. They are designated on the table as side loading. Only those weapons denoted as magazine type mag benefit from the quick reloading.
Okay.
So clips will fire one in the chamber. I can fire.
Will fire whether you have a clip in or not.
Right.
That's the difference. If you don't have a magazine in, it will not fire.
Right.
So it's a small difference, but it could
might
matter.
come up.
So you'll also note your capacity and your hit points. Capacity is how many bullets you hold. I'm going to assume that also means 1 in the chamber.
Yeah.
And then hit points is how many hit points your gun has. Most of them are 8 or 10. Doesn't really matter.
Right.
I mean, that could matter if I start swinging at your guns, but frankly, I'm going to kill you guys first.
Right.
Unless I'm going to take you alive.
And then pick up the guns and use them against the next batch of characters.
Yes. So, there's a couple of things that you should also note just for personality. Look at the country they're made in.
Right.
Look at what they are. So, like the Colt single action Army revolver. Notice it says Army in it, so it's a military weapon.
Right.
But that's an old military weapon.
Yeah,
That's like
that's
an
1872.
Cowboys use a lot of revolvers. Cops use a lot of semi-automatics. Doesn't mean you won't have a revolver as a backup. And then your caliber, bigger number is better. I know you probably know that. In handguns and shotguns, smaller number is better in gauge.
Does that change? Where's the damage on all these?
It'll be by caliber.
Oh, I see. So there's another chart somewhere.
There's a whole nother chart. Yep.
You have any idea what page that's on?
It's on this one. No. Yeah. There you go.
Okay. So a 22 is from a handgun is a D4. From a long gun, 22 long is I assume that's going to be back in the description as a D6.
The 22 long is actually the type of round.
Oh, I see. Yes. I'm not a gun.
I only know 22s because that's the only gun I've ever shot. And they kick like a baby. I mean, they are the lightest guns you can get. However, Max Brooks suggests that 22 is the best for hunting zombies because the bullet caliber is small and the impact is hard when it goes in, but it's not enough to go out the back of the brain, right, so it bounces around in the brain, thereby killing them with one shot.
But you misspoke. Max Brooks does not suggest hunting zombies.
Well, no, but if you have to shoot one, he suggests 22.
But hunting zombies is a bad idea.
Yeah. So,
this gives me a general idea.
It looks like your small calibers are a D4, D6. Your medium calibers are a D6 and a D8.
D8, D10.
Oh, D8, D10.
Once you hit medium.
And then all of your large calibers are D10s plus some numbers.
Yeah.
Oh, except for your 357 mag, which is a D8 plus a D4.
So
potentially 12.
2 to 12 versus the Colt 45 rimfire, which is a 2 to 11.
Yeah. It should be noted that the more often a caliber is listed on a gun, the more likely you're going to be easily getting those caliber weapons, those caliber bullets. So, let's say you find some cultists and you shoot them dead and they were shooting back at you. If you're carrying something that can handle normal capacity, then you're fine. Somebody, I'm not saying who, picked up a Welby, I don't know. The 455.
455 Webley.
That's the only gun that uses that ammo. Period. So him getting more ammo, he better go buy
stock
it.
Up, yeah.
And it's also a European, or it's a English weapon. Guess what they don't sell in England? Guns.
Yeah.
So guess what? It's going to be hard to get ammo.
Yeah.
So, just keep that in mind. So like a 357 or a 45, those are big bullets, but they're going to be relatively easy to find.
So now we go back to the chart of actual guns here. Mm-hmm. So again, let's see.
I would stay on semi automatics.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to be that big of a aficionado of guns, but I will like what I have. So, oh geez, no.
And if it does matter to you where the guns were made, I would stay away from Germany and Austria.
Yeah. Because
you just got done fighting them.
Yep. Yeah, I was looking primarily at the U.S.
Okay.
U.S. guns. So, Colt Hammerless, 25 ACP.
That's a low caliber.
But then the Colt M1911 pistol, 45 caliber.
Mm-hmm.
ACP. Definitely gonna, I think.
What kind of load is that?
That's semi-mag load.
Okay.
7 bullets. Let's see. I don't see. Let's see. The only clip I see is the Mauser, the German.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Swing with clip on the Army revolver.
Yeah. So that may be.
Yeah, that's the only thing that's marked with a clip is the Mauser.
Which you wouldn't want to use anyway.
Which I wouldn't want to use for my character because it doesn't fit.
Stupid Krauts.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
You don't want the Argentinian?
Where are you seeing that?
The Mannlicher?
Mannlicher, yeah. No.
Is that seriously the Mannlicher?
It's Licher, so it might be Liker.
Mannlicher?
Yeah.
So.
I don't know. So yeah, I'm going to stick with the 1911.
Okay.
It's also reasonably
Right.
aged.
You want to write all this information down because what we put down there does not necessarily cover all of it.
Right.
And this is going to be your main weapon?
Yeah.
Okay.
45 ACP, semi mag load, cap 7, HP 8.
Okay. And that's your basic weapon. You probably want at least a backup piece, honestly.
I do.
And backup pieces do tend to be revolvers or smaller caliber.
Yeah.
So.
Man, those are just. I mean, the revolvers. I guess they got old, or so.
Well, and Colt makes good guns. Period. Yeah. Regardless of when they started making them, The reason they have like at 1872, 1877, 1892,
because they were in production for that long.
Good guns, yeah, and they're pretty standard. And Colt also, I believe, had a very solid contract with the U.S. Army.
Yeah, Colt new Army and Navy revolver. It says 38/41. Does that literally mean
it means it will either hold one or the other? Period.
Oh, not both.
I think it can fire both, but if you can't,
there's a price difference, so I probably have to choose.
Yeah.
Again, not a gun aficionado, so I apologize if any of our listeners are. I know I am uneducated.
I would bet that you can buy a base model and get something to modify it back and forth.
Yeah, but that's not.
But that's not you.
That's not. The swing. That was the one that was quicker loading, right?
Yeah, swing.
So, I'm going to go... There's, like, other than the name and the year it came out, there's... I'm debating between the 38 or the 32... Or the Colt Positive Police revolver came out in 1905, uses 38 Smith & Wesson S&W.
Yeah.
Did I read that right?
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Smith & Wesson. Whereas the Colt News Service DA revolver came out in 1898. It uses 38.
The 38 Smith & Wesson is going to be a little bit harder to find, I would bet.
So I'm going to go with the DA as my backup piece.
Okay.
News Service DA Rev 38 Colt revolver, swing load, 6 bullets, and 10 HP.
Okay. Do you want any others?
Is there one that is popular with the thug, the underworld mob guys? I want to drop piece. I know I'm not that kind of character, but it seems like something I would.
I have no idea.
Have
honestly.
on hand. All right. So, what's the cheapest gun available?
That is a way to look at it.
That the police revolver is the cheapest gun at 15,
Yeah.
32.
No, there's a Remington
32.
double Derringer that's...
Well, the Derringer's still 15.
Oh, is it?
15 is the lowest number on this chart. So, yeah, I'm going to go with the Colt Positive Police. Somewhere along the way, I've collected 3 handguns. 32 caliber long, or 32 Colt long. Rev, swing, 6, 10 cap, and HP.
Okay. You good then?
Yep. As far as guns go.
Well, not really, because we still have to look up some stuff.
Oh, well.
But yeah.
I mean, as far as buying the guns.
So you have a 32 long. Colt long. Does a D8. What else do you have? 45 ACP.
45 ACP.
45 ACP does a D10 plus 2.
And a 38 Colt D10.
Now, the basic range for these is all 15 yards.
Right.
Anything more than that, you're going to probably take negatives to your skill.
Yeah.
So you might want to mark that as well. Okay. So now you want to transfer all that information down here. Some of it you're going to lose. Like, it only has damage, not your caliber. Right. So you're going to want to keep that scratch piece of paper and at least transfer it over. If not...
Is that it as far as character creation goes? I mean,
there's another couple of steps, or there's another step after this. So.
Well, let's just jump onto that because I'll fill that out.
Transfer it over? Okay.
Yeah, because our listeners don't need to listen to me, scribble on paper. It's not exciting radio.
Okay, step 6 marks scars, mental disorders.
Okay.
Make sure your name's on the left of the sheet, not at the top. So
right.
Oh no, we're talking about up here.
Oh well, it's already there.
Fill out the rest of that.
Oh, okay. College degree? No. Birthplace? NYC. Mental disorders.
You don't have to have one.
Is there a bonus?
You don't have to. No. If there were bonuses for mental disorders, this would not be Call of Cthulhu.
Well, I didn't know if there was a bonus for starting with one, like they do in, or used to do in World of Darkness, Old World of Darkness. So I don't want to have a mental disorder to start.
Sex and age, don't mark anything in mental disorder then, because you may get one.
Yeah.
So age?
I'm still working on the math on that.
Okay. So player name goes here.
Right. That would be John.
The minimum age is 17 for you. It's your
Right.
education plus 6. And then if you're above 40, we have to subtract some stuff.
Well, I won't be above 40.
Then you're good. That is basically character creation. That'll kind of end that for right now. John, you feel like you have a good solid character there?
Oh, yeah.
Good, nice, average character?
Yep, average Joe. Did one good thing in life, and now he's paying for it.
Alrighty. Well, that'll be it tonight for Nerds Domain Podcast presents The Masks of Gnarltep. You can always send us an email at nerdsdomain@gmail.com or catch us on Twitter. I'm at Quiett, and Johnny is at Foolsmask, and you can catch the website at Nerdsdomain. You can catch us on Facebook as well at facebook.com/nerdsdomain. We want to thank Josh Shop for our music and the intro and the exit. And if you enjoy our podcast, we encourage you to give us a review on iTunes and let us know what you think. We'll talk to you real soon.